What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Jose Show. Happy Thursday. I hope that everyone is enjoying their lovely, amazing day. But anywho, let's get into the hot topics. Now let's talk about Kid Cudi. So Kid Cudi detailed the damage his Porsche sustained from a Molotov cocktail during his testimony in the Diddy trial, an incident he thinks Diddy was involved in, and now we're seeing some of what jurors were shown in court. So photos of Kid Cudi's car fire aftermath were just entered as exhibits in the case, and they appear to show what Kid Cudi testified about in terms of fire damage from a Molotov cocktail. Okay, so Cudi told jurors someone cut a hole in his Porsche's convertible top and dropped in the firebomb, and photos show a large opening in the soft top that appears to have been slashed open, and there looks to be some melted fabric. So Kid Cudi's Porsche had a red interior, and the driver's seat looks burned, and there's a bunch of black residue. The driver's side door also appears charred. Alright, so Cudi testified that in January of 2012, he got a call from his dog watcher at his home who told him his car was on fire. He said a friend who was nearby came and snapped the photos. Kid Cudi said the Porsche could not be salvaged. So this is really insane that Kid Cudi is reporting all of this just 13 years later instead of doing it a long time ago. And what's even more insane is that he is over here testifying against P. Diddy, that P. Diddy might be the one that got to slash his car open, and that P. Diddy might have been the one that caused his car to go on fire. And I don't blame him for getting very suspicious that P. Diddy was behind all of this, because P. Diddy is nothing but a freaking lunatic that he already went off and sex trafficked so many people and did a bunch of other crazy stupid stuff. And honestly, if I were Kid Cudi, I would have even pressed charges against this guy instead of just going off testifying in court, because this is definitely 100% vandalism, and this right here is 100% very scary. Now, I am so glad that Kid Cudi was not in the car when this whole entire incident happened, because if Kid Cudi would have been in the car throughout this whole entire time, then trust me, I'm pretty sure that Kid Cudi would have been in the grave by now. So that's the reason to what I'm saying is that I thank God that Kid Cudi was not in the car. Also, I think that since Kid Cudi is already testifying against P. Diddy might be sitting there like, well, I did what I did, and I have nothing to say about it now. Because at the end of the day, P. Diddy knows what he did. He can't just sit there and be like, oh no, I didn't do any of that stuff, because if P. Diddy gets to be saying any of those things, then P. Diddy would have more to lose, because he doesn't have the proof that he didn't do any of those things. And Kid Cudi, I believe, has the proof that P. Diddy did go off and do those things. Like, even though I'm pretty sure that P. Diddy wasn't in the photos or in the videos, yet again, there's already proof that P. Diddy did those things, and especially because of the fact that there was already, a dog watcher being involved that went off and said that the car went on fire. So anyways, there's also that. And then another reason to why P. Diddy has a lot more to lose in this case, and P. Diddy, of course, can go off and say that he wasn't the one that went off and caused the car to go on fire, is because of the fact that apparently there might have been, some type of an incident going on shortly before this whole entire situation happened that really does support the evidence as to why and as to how P. Diddy could be involved into all of this. So there's also that. So anyways, P. Diddy, please, you are crazy in all levels, and I cannot believe that you would go off into this type of level. But anyways, this is really insane, and that's all I have to say about this. Now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift is no longer facing a subpoena in Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's legal drama, because Baldoni's camp has withdrawn the subpoenas of her and her law firm, TMZ confirms. So apparently, sources with direct knowledge tell us that Baldoni's side dropped the subpoena after information was voluntarily provided to them. And apparently other sources also in the know say this confirms the validity of the statement made last week that Taylor's involvement with this film was licensing a song. Alright, so as TMZ told us, Swift's name has been brought up a couple times in the lawsuit, including in one text message Lively allegedly sent to Baldoni referring to Swift and Ryan Reynolds as protective dragons and herself as the mother of dragons, a Game of Thrones reference. So the dragon comment didn't sit well with Taylor, and a source close to the star told TMZ, that she felt manipulated by Blake showing up at an agreed upon time without knowing Baldoni would be at the meeting. Okay, so Taylor's spokesperson told TMZ last week that the pop star's involvement with the film was minimal, making it clear she never went to the set or involved herself with casting or editing decisions. So a representative for Blake Lively tells TMZ they supported Taylor's team in getting the subpoenas thrown out, adding the Lively camp will continue to stand up for any third party who is unjustly harassed during the process. Okay, so this is insane. I think that it's an amazing thing that Taylor Swift is no longer getting involved with the whole entire Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively case, because Taylor Swift, since she wasn't in the set where the whole entire harassment went on from Justin Baldoni to Blake Lively, then basically Taylor Swift isn't really the one to be protecting Blake Lively. Taylor Swift isn't the one that should be saying, oh my God, I got to witness it all. I got to, see it all and this and that. So I might as well, protect Blake Lively at all costs and this and this. No, I completely understand that Blake Lively is trying to protect herself, especially because she knows that Taylor Swift is her friend, and friends are there for each other, especially for each other's backs. But in this case, Blake Lively needs to understand that despite Taylor Swift being her best friend, Taylor Swift wasn't really there for the whole entire situation in order for Taylor to be going off protecting Blake Lively in this case. And with all of that being said, she was basically just manipulating Taylor this whole entire time because she was pressuring Taylor into getting involved in the whole entire case, even though, like I said, Taylor Swift doesn't really have anything to do with the case because of the fact that she's not a witness. And let's also remember that when Taylor Swift was getting manipulated by this whole entire case, Taylor Swift really was too busy. She really was too okay, I need to get out of this, because she was already, too focused on, of course, many other things that were going on in her life, like the Tortured Poets Department, I believe, and she was already focused on Midnight. She was already focused on the Eras tour, I believe. And since all of that was evolving her, she really needed and she really wanted to focus on that way more, especially because those things were way more important to her than to be focusing on a very unworthy case where she really had nothing to do with it at all. Okay, let's be honest here. And if Blake Lively wants to find herself somebody that will protect her at all costs, then she's gonna have to find herself someone that really will be there for her in all costs, and someone that actually was in the case, in the set, while this whole entire harassment situation was going on from Justin Baldoni to Blake Lively. Okay, just saying. Please find the right people. Find the right people, because that's the only way that Blake Lively can possibly win the case against Justin Baldoni, and that's if Justin Baldoni was really going off harassing Blake Lively, like Blake Lively has stated. So it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, ladies and gentlemen, if you ask me. Literally. And last but not least, man, I think that the first thing that Taylor Swift wants right now is to just, rest now that she is done with the Eras tour and now that she hasn't released an album in over a year. Because honestly, the first thing that you need when you finished a very successful tour like the Eras tour, especially a record-breaking tour like the Eras tour, and also finished releasing an album like to the Tortured Poets Department, then you definitely want some rest. You want to look at the sun. You just want to go out and walk and this and that, and that's it. That is all, man. Ain't nobody got time for any drama, that's for sure. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Jussie Smollett. So Jussie Smollett struck a pretty sweet deal with the Windy City. Instead of paying 6 figures in restitution for the hate crime hoax investigation, he's donating $50,000 to charity, TMZ has learned. Now, sources with direct involvement in the negotiations tell us the agreement between Jussie and Chicago calls for him to pay the $50,000 to a charity of the actor's choice, and we're told he's opted to support the Building Better Future Center for the Arts in Chicago. Okay, so the org focuses on mental health, art, music, and acting training for underprivileged youth in Chicago. Alright, so the city had filed a civil lawsuit against Jussie seeking restitution for the expense of investigating the 2019 hoax. That case has dragged on for 6 years now, so both sides decided to put it to bed with the settlement. We're told Jussie and the city have signed the deal. He's already made the $50,000 donation, but a judge still has to sign off to make it official. So this is really insane that Jussie Smollett is now ordered to be donating $50,000 to the city of Chicago in exchange towards this whole entire lawsuit that is going on against him because of the fact that he did his little stupid hoax 6 years ago. But this is basically teaching him a freaking lesson that because of his little shenanigans, now he has to be paying $50,000. And yes, it's a donation, but yet again, it's, I believe, mandatory because it's ordered. Now, the judge hasn't signed off anything just yet, but I'm pretty sure that the judge is going to be signing something really soon in order to get this guy to be donating $50,000, so that way this guy can basically, make it a deal already with the city of Chicago for what he did several years ago when he went off and did his little stupid hoax. And I think it's fair because I believe that at the end of the day, since he went off and he wasted the police's time over in Chicago for doing his little hoax, well, now he is paying the consequences into paying $50,000 to in donations to the city of Chicago. And I think too that he is also not only paying $50,000, but he's also I think getting broke, I guess, because I believe that the guy doesn't even have a lot of money anymore like he used to, because I don't think that I've heard anything new from this guy in years. And if I would have heard something new from this guy in years, then I think it would have been all over the media. I think it would have been all over the place. And I think the guy would be making more money by now instead of, not making any money at all. So that would have been more helpful towards him in order for him to pay the $50,000 easier. So that's what I'm trying to say. But I don't know. I could be wrong though. Maybe the guy does have a lot of money and or enough money to still have in his wallet after paying the $50,000 in charity. But I'm just thinking what could highly be the case though. So it's insane, man, how things would turn out to be this way, because I just don't think it's really correct, and it's really cool that this guy thought that since he's a celebrity, he has the right to think that I just don't think that it's fair that since he's a celebrity, he thought that he was going to get away with this, but no, not at all. Not at all. And I'm glad that he didn't get away with it. Okay, now, that is it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's lovely show, The Jose Show. Till next time, and peace.